I believe, Mr. Speaker, that the leader of the opposition is either not reading his standing orders properly, or he is misunderstanding what he reads, which I suppose amounts to the same thing. Mr. Speaker, as I understand it, Standing Order 11, which deals with the question of the days of meeting, says that the House shall meet on Fridays, and every adjournment of the House shall be to the next Friday, unless the House, upon a motion moved by a minister or member of the Standing Orders Committee, otherwise decides. The practice, as you know, Mr. Speaker, and this is what happened on the last occasion, was for a motion to be moved that the House adjourn to a date to be fixed by the Speaker. So there is no requirement at all, certainly in the context of the standing orders, for any specified notice period to be given. As a matter of protocol, the effort is made when the government requests of the Speaker that a meeting be summoned, that a meeting be convened. An effort is made to do this in sufficient time so that that notice can go out, certainly at least a week in advance of the day on which the meeting will be fixed. But the point to be made is that there is no such requirement as to a minimum notice period. And the point to be made is that while it makes every practical sense for us to ask for a meeting on the basis of an ability to give at least a week's notice, there are exigent circumstances. In this particular case, Mr. Speaker, every bill that is on the agenda is a bill only to be introduced, only for first reading. The silly allegation made by the opposition by way of a press release that they're expected to come here and debate bills that they only get sight of when they get into the House precincts is nonsensical. All that we're asking is leave to introduce these bills. They will then have 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, a month or so, to digest the bills before we come back for debate. And the reason we are introducing these bills today, and we did not give as much notice for the House meeting as we would normally do, is because there is a timeline, there is a deadline involved. We have a matrix of obligations that we've contracted with the Inter-American Development Bank in return for the bank's assistance with our restructuring exercise. The exercise designed to restructure that horrible Damocles sword of a super bond that those on the other side saddled the country with. On the question of questions, Mr. Speaker, again, if they would only read the blinking, blessed standing orders. Questions, there is nothing that says, Mr. Speaker, that questions have to be for oral answers. Mr. Speaker, going forward, it is true that if the notice of a meeting is short notice, the questions can't be asked for that meeting in an oral form. If they, on that side, only decide to ask the questions when they get notice of the meeting, but there's no requirement of that. You can put down your questions from tomorrow for the next session. And as you go along and more questions, you can put them. There's nothing that says you have to wait until you get notice of the meeting. So, please, Mr. Speaker, as I said, we will all be bound by what you have to say. But I had to point out because they are trying to make accusations against us as though we are trying to frustrate the democratic objects of the standing orders. and of the arrangements for the conduct of business in this House. It is absolutely not true, and don't take your own incompetence and wrong-headedness and make it a platform for criticism of those of us on this side of the House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.